Welcome back, everybody, to our latest week of the Quake Pro League Season 2, where we're going to be seeing some more Rapha stepping up to the plate, but he'll be going up against Maxter. So I think this is going to be quite a challenging week for Maxter. It always is when someone has to fight the world champ, right? But we'll see how close he can make it, I think. I don't want to sound too negative here, Flea, but I think that Rapha's the clear favorite here.
That is indeed the case, and I think Rapha is about the clear favorite against just about anyone in the entire world. A man widely considered to be the GOAT of Quake, the greatest of all time, an incredible player, currently the holder of the belt, the grand champion of the first season of the Quake Pro League, and so far undefeated throughout the entirety of this season. Hasn't lost a single map, every single win has been a convincing 3-0.
Which is, expected of Rapha at this point, and I think, without being too negative, I think it's safe to assume we might see that again today. But I'm just very curious to kind of see how Maxter is shaping up against someone of Rapha's caliber, because Maxter has made quite an early splash in Pro League. He is new to this whole thing, and he's one of the newer players for sure. But he's impressed everyone, I think, quite quickly, and he has his fair share of fans. I know he's recently upgraded his equipment as well, which I think I almost take for granted these days, how not everyone who plays at a competitive level actually has top of the range equipment. So someone like Maxter being able to bring himself into Pro League with not the same level of equipment as everyone else, that alone is insane and impressive in its own right. But now you got to bring that A game and then some against Rapha.
Yeah, and Maxter has been doing an admirable job so far, right? Because he's already beaten 3 players, he's lost 4 matches, won 3, which put him in the 7th position, so outside of that relegation league. And I think that is extremely telling for a player who made it into the league through, of course, the challengers, right? Because very often, once these new players get added to the pro roster, they struggle tremendously, especially those first few weeks or those first few stages, because the level is just so different to what they're used to. But Maxter has really been holding his own. He's beaten players like Zeniku and Dewey and Effortless already, so the man clearly is a force to be reckoned with nevertheless.
Now let's take a look at the maps and the picks and bans, so we can see how things could shape up, as Awoken will be our first map. The Athena was taken away, so it's Sorlag versus Doomslayer there. Deep Embrace is going to be our second map, of which Rapha picked, which is no surprise. Rapha is one of those players that you can really expect to start picking the new stuff. I know he is incredibly talented at picking up new things quicker than most, and it is why he's considered to be the greatest Quake player of all time right now. Anyway, it will be Nyx and Ranger on that map, and then we finish things off with the Strog and the Visor on Blood Covenant. But I think excited always to see that Deep Embrace. Gotta love the new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And Deep Embrace is quickly becoming a bit of a fan favorite, it seems. Very similar to Awoken, which is the first map of today's series, and a lot of fun to play on such a high octane and small map. So Awoken, as you mentioned yourself, Sorlag versus Doomslayer, pretty standard picks. Deep Embrace, again, Ranger versus Nyx. I feel like it's a little early to talk about a very established meta on this map, because players are still developing their playstyles, but nothing out of the ordinary there. And then finally, Blood Covenant. It is the Visor versus the Strog. Definitely a smart decision by Maxter to ban / away from Rapha, because we have seen what a powerhouse she is when he takes control of her, especially on the map that is Blood Covenant.
I like this idea that, look, Rapha's going to get a crouch slider at this point, so you may as well ban out the fastest one and just take that one away. You accept your fate, but try and make it just a little bit more bearable by him going in with the Strog instead. So I believe we're loading into Awoken now. Normally we do talk about predictions, but I think we both predict a 3-0 here, if I'm right.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone who would bet otherwise, given Rapha's tremendous track record.
But it's a fair assumption. But I'm optimistic. I'd like to see Maxter really be able to step up here. Being able to take a map on Rapha would be an incredible achievement, because it's doing what hasn't been done yet, really.
Yeah.
So that would be absolutely better than nothing. But it's an opportunity as a newcomer to Pro League to go up against the best of the best of the best with honors and figure out how you shape up versus that kind of caliber, because it can really give you that all-important information as we go into a few weeks away. We're starting the stage 1 final, so there's not a lot of time left, is there?
Absolutely, and just worth noting is that this is the first time these two have played each other at an official league game. So a lot of unknowns that are no doubt going to be answered soon, as we're starting things off on Maxter's point of view, who is running the Sorlag. So he's got that base stack advantage, he's got a solid offensive ability with the Spit, but he lacks that vertical mobility that Rapha has with the double jump. Good little trap right there, the LG solid.
Oh.
But Rapha with the rail, finishing it up right away.
Now, Maxter has got that spawning stack and an LG, so I think he's going to be quite confident to make his presence known here. He's not going to have to be particularly careful knowing that Rapha was weak and will have to lick his wounds himself. Looks for a rail angle, doesn't quite hit the shot. However, the retreating rail is definitely good. Hits a second, that Rapha, again, not fully expecting it, and the turnaround. Maxter! Can he finish the job here? Rapha sneakily getting in and out and taking that light, and it looks like he'll retreat for now. Maxter, flee! He was so close to getting that frag.
He sure was, almost putting himself on the board right away, but now he's in a bad position. Loving the position right there from Rapha. Instead of jumping across and giving his opponent a way out, he positions himself down below. But nevertheless, Maxter manages to escape Rapha. Actually burning the Berserk right there. Not often that ability comes into play. Switching into the shotgun because, of course, he knows that those big body characters, big girls like Sorlag, they will eat all of those pellets for days, making it a lot of damage coming through.
I actually don't dislike that Berserk either, because straight through the teleporter, if Maxter was really close, the kind of lock-on nature of the Berserk and how weak Maxter was definitely would have kind of guaranteed the kill for Rapha. And then even if he didn't need to use it, Maxter's, if he's not there, it's because he's going to be gone and he's running away, so there's no threat of, you know, melee versus projectiles. And then the most important reason is that you get to take away Hourglass. You actually get to compete with the Hourglass. Maxter can't pick them up. As Sorlag, that's quite important. And he goes in for a big push. Rapha, always trying to stay optimal. Oh, I think he was looking for the Doom. Can Maxter get out of this really sticky situation? Nope, is the answer. Now, Rapha did try and do one of those kind of classic Doomslayer only techniques where he used the jump pad and immediately double jump to fake it out. But Maxter didn't take the bait.
Now he's stuck in a bad position though. These are good rockets from a distance. Maxter has already dropped 5 frags in barely 2.5 minutes. Catch up. Are we going to see Rapha do what his teammate could not? Secure that 20 frag on the map Awoken?
Well, at this rate, I mean, if the maths are correct, then maybe. But we'll see. I mean, it's dominant showing for Rapha so far. It has been complete efficiency. Maxter been able to fight back. All right, here come the rails. The defensive play from Rapha. Not able to escape as Maxter gets a frag, and he's healthy at the same time. Now, Rapha gets a pretty decent spawn, though. There's armor to pick up. He's got an SSG. He's got a rail. It's clearly been shown that that's kind of all he needs to get some damage done here. However, the opening rail misses, but Maxter can't return fire. It's important to hit those shots. The moment your opponent misses, right, that unreturned damage, especially as they're going towards these items, the all-important items that just keep Rapha afloat, and he gets a big direct 100 damage just like that. Maxter forced to back off, and with plenty of ammo and damage potential, Rapha still sitting pretty, I think.
Yeah, Rapha definitely with a bit of a stack advantage right now. Maxter setting up position for the heavy. This is good. I love that he's pushing out a bit more and doesn't just jump straight onto the item, knowing that that's a bit of a death trap. He's got to be careful though. Railable. Luckily for him, Rapha couldn't quite land the shot. He will secure heavy. And I think that just shows a bit of the difference still. I can guarantee you that Rapha would not have just walked by the hole in the wall, not even taking a peek. Right? But Maxter was so convinced that Rapha had moved towards the Mega site or the LG that he just slowly strutted in front of it almost, giving Rapha an angle. Rapha missed the shot, but still, that was a bit of an oversight on Maxter's play, and I think that it's those little things that do add up in the end.
Especially going up against Rapha, those little details. There's no way that any of those things sneak by Rapha either. He is the most aware player that we have in the world right now. But here comes our big full speed push from Maxter. Didn't quite work out. Man, that was a speedy little Sorlag right there. But we're dawning on that halfway point. Somehow, Flea, sentences are hard to get out today. I don't know why.
Well, what hasn't been hard to get out of those 5 frags for Rapha, but nevertheless, maxter has been doing a great job at stabilizing Ketchup. 5 frags in 2.5 minutes, and now we've gone another 2.5 with no more frags for Rapha. maxter getting closer and closer, it feels, to securing another kill of his own. Rapha still slipping away when it matters the most. Actually getting a bit of a boost, a speed boost right there.
Definitely
propelling him forwards.
I say that Rapha is a player who is extremely prepared. I don't think anyone can be prepared for that. Your tri-bolt spam to just so happen to give the speed boost to a Sorlag. Can't be ready for everything. But although maxter has been able to stop the bleeding a little bit, and this lead hasn't extended, what's a bit of a danger is that he hasn't actually got any frags himself yet. He's got one early on, and that's pretty much it. So Rapha has done a good job of kind of playing run around and that rail angle. maxter had the right idea. Couldn't quite land the shot though. Does manage to land a second. But the stack still belongs to Rapha. And with that light armor and an opportunity to push in, the unreturned rail, really good. But maxter, he has to retreat. Rapha's going to get that heavy and he'll be on the warpath straight away. maxter knows he has to show that one respect. A little bit of damage on the rocket. Could be better. That rocket's certainly good. Looking for the combo piece, but can't get it. Rail missing. Going to make things kind of awkward as this mega spawns, especially now that rocket's been able to connect. maxter has to make a bit of a choice here. Do I push in and stop the mega being taken? I mean, he's running out of time, and the time it took him to push in, he's railable. He's still railable. That would have been a kill shot. Rapha looking for it. The SSG up close, but he can't quite hit it. The mid-air doesn't hit it. Mark Flea. That was so important to land.
I feel like one of the big things that's holding maxter back right now has been his aim in the past few minutes. He's had so many angles, so many shots that he missed. And if he landed even one of those, he likely could have been able to leverage it into an actual frag. But then he just misses the rail as Rapha is trying to retreat, where he doesn't connect with a rocket at all when he has the high ground on his opponent. And Rapha, as you said yourself, right, these small mistakes, Rapha is going to capitalize on every single one of those, and that just spells the difference in skill between these two players. maxter still putting in the effort. It's still very much possible. Hasn't given up just yet. But this fight, that's gonna be a tricky one. Rapha actually running out of LG ammo and will drop down to a rocket. maxter getting a little lucky right there, because if Rapha had more LG ammo, that would have definitely been a frag for the American.
But he goes right back in. You think you've been given some kind of a lucky break, and here comes Rapha, full speed ahead, just straight in. And maxter off the spawn. The acid spit is gone. He knows he only has to fear a rocket, and that is it. maxter has nothing else to work with. This, by all means, should be the map win. Rapha controlling as always, and even though maxter was able to no longer concede a lot of frags during that kind of halfway point, Rapha was still in control. He still had more stack. He himself was not giving up any frags either, so it was difficult for maxter every step of the way.
I also love just seeing how Rapha incorporates every single weapon into his arsenal, right? Sometimes you see players who completely ignore some of the weapons, but Rapha, he is, like, as you see right there, he is using the nail gun in a situation where so many other players would just go exclusively for, say, the rail or the rockets. But Rapha, using just about everything. I think the only thing he hasn't done damage with is the gauntlet. Other than that, every single weapon has net him at least a few points of pain on his opponent. And maxter, on the other hand, hasn't used the shotgun, hasn't used the nail gun, and that's, I think, another one of those differences with Rapha kind of thinking outside of the box a little more.
And right now, there's no need to even get any frags, but bonus frags are always welcomed. There's the Berserk, just in case, as the final moments loom over. Rapha with an 11-2 lead and a dominant showing here on Awoken map 1. Deep Embrace is going to be the next location. And I am always curious to see what Rapha brings to the table on the new stuff. And I think it's actually a map that would favor him. I can kind of see Rapha being more prepared for new maps than anyone. So this is going to be a hard challenge for maxter, I think. Unless he's got some kind of trick up his sleeve, I favor Rapha on map 2 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd favor Rapha on pretty much any map, any champion matchup, but as you said, things are looking dire for maxter. Once again, LG on LG, this should be going to maxter indeed, the Black's Hawk clan player, securing himself another frag, but with 10 seconds left on the clock, it will remain at a 7-point difference. Hang on, Rapha still wants to get a punch, and indeed he does, extending it back to an 8 frag lead to secure himself the win. Well played.
You know, it's kind of odd listening to Doom 2016 music, now Doom Eternal's out. I know it's meant to be the remix of E1M1, but it's like, it's almost like nostalgic, even though it's only a few years old. Love it. Anyway, map 1 is going to go to Rapha, I think to the surprise of no one. It's not going to be a big upset that he's able to take the map in the fashion that he did. It's a classic Rapha map, shutting most of the map down from you. His aim has always progressively gotten more and more impressive, as you quite rightly pointed out, just using the different weapons in ways that other players often don't. And just awareness all the way through. It was a classic map, Rapha map. Mappa Rappa almost said. Wow, sentences really are difficult. Now, let's move on to map 2 and just forget I said that.
Map 2, Deep Embrace. Very different champion picks this time around. Maxter will be running Ranger, medium champion with, of course, that orb. Gives him a lot of burst damage at close range, as well as a lot of ability to reposition and relocate himself around the map. Whereas Rapha is running the next small champion, less base tag, but far more mobile, because she has that wall jump and, of course, that ever-intimidating Ghost Walk. If you put a tool like that into the hands of a tactical mastermind like Rapha, you are always going to be walking on your tippy toes, because you know that danger is going to be looming around every corner.
So it looks like both players are readying up. So very, very soon we'll be jumping into our next map, which, as we've said, should be the Deep Embrace. Now, similar to Awoken, so I think with the nature of which Rapha was able to take that first map, I mean, we can expect to see similar results, I think, on map number 2. But Rapha, when you think of Rapha playing his best, it is all about just the purest of fundamentals, just exaggerated with Rapha, isn't it? He's got the aim, he's got the brain, he's got the movement. There really is nothing in the game that he can't do. And I think that's what makes him such a nightmare at competitive play, I think, to play against, clearly.
Yeah, for a very long time, there was one clear, I don't want to call it downside towards his play, but there was one thing that clearly wasn't as well developed as the rest, and that was his aim. But then Rapha made a very deliberate effort to focus on that, and now he can brawl it out with the very best of the world, and that really can't be considered a weakness of him anymore. If you look at the LG, the railgun, the rockets, the fundamentals, as you call it, especially with the unholy trinity of weapons, the man is probably, likely, the most complete package out of any player in the Quake Pro League.
So it looks like we should be loading into Deep Embrace right now. It's always nice to see these new maps, and as we start to reach the kind of later stages of Stage 1, it's no surprise that we are kind of starting to see players go in with the new picks. You know, when a map only just becomes part of a rotation, unless you just have some kind of specific tactics that you're kind of keeping hidden, a lot of players won't tend to go for the new material until you've given it plenty of time, because the reality is, folks, every single map here counts. The format change for Season 2 and how it's all built around map wins having their own individual payouts, and then, you know, your total prize money factoring in at the stage finals, and the fact that we reset as we go into new stages. If you are playing a new map and you don't feel 100% confident, players won't pick it. You know, if they don't feel ready for something, considering that one map could be the difference between seeding, it could be the difference between, you know, being relegated. I don't think players are going to play any games here unless they're 100% ready. They will not pick something.
I am inclined to agree with that, yeah. If anyone is going to pick for a map like this, I would expect it to be one of the newer players that are ranked more towards the bottom of the leaderboard, right? Because if no one is prepared for the new map, your opponent isn't going to be either. So while they might be vastly more experienced on the traditional maps, picking a new map to throw them off could really help your game. But by now, this is week 11, right? The new maps have been in rotation for quite some time. Every single player has played them at least multiple times. They've practiced them. They know exactly how to go about approaching a situation on these maps. So there's really not that much of a surprise left to it. And that is, of course, why Rapha, as you said yourself, one of the best players to pick up on new things, will love this opportunity.
And it looks like we're loading in Deep Embrace. Maxter and Rapha head-to-head for another time. A dominant map win for Rapha. We'll see if he can continue this momentum and just continue this absolutely ridiculous streak that he's working on throughout stage 1. Checking out things from Rapha's point of view first, the Nyx versus the Ranger. I think the wall jump, I mean, it's all about mobility on these kind of maps. People often do compare it to Awoken for a good reason, but that Ghost Walk, you catch Rapha in a bad situation, he's got that invincibility and escape option. Kind of like now, any other champion in the game would have been absolutely a done deal after that, but Ghost Walk has other plans. But who's going to come off better? Mega spawns. Looks like maxter has it in his sights, but he's looking to push on, actually. No fear. And a lot of respect. Now, does Rapha use this opportunity to take the heavy? I did like that angle that he was holding just to try and damage him a bit more, but can he escape? Maxter, he is being aggressive here, Flea.
Yes, indeed, but Rapha landing the rails that he needs. Those rails have really been his saving grace so far, and that LG just slamming his opponent into the ground. That is going to help out tremendously as well, but it's the rails. Those have been key to Rapha's success. 60% accuracy so far, landing every shot he needs to. Kind of messing up the jump right there, but it's not going to matter because Maxter simply doesn't have the weaponry to take that effective fight.
When Maxter chased down Rapha, by the way, I really liked Rapha's wall jump usage. Kind of landing on that little platform with the pot. It kind of looked a little bit like Maxter wasn't fully prepared for that. He kind of had to snap his aim, and that's what allowed the LG to completely nail him. A lot more of this intense play on a map like Deep Embrace, very combat heavy. And it's Rapha. I know you're going to take the Mega, but where's it going to be? Allow me to drop down and say hello as I get my second frag right as Heavy's about to spawn, and Maxter not in position for it, really. And he will concede. Maxter conceding a Heavy just to make sure he can try and get some weapons.
So many nice little jumps that you can use the Nyx for. There is a very common jump that you have to make to get over onto the Heavy, but it's kind of tricky, and messing it up can easily give your opponent control out of nowhere. So having a champion like Nyx, where you can use the wall jump to make that with 100% certainty, is going to help a lot, even when you're as good of a player as Rapha is.
That was just a savage point-blank shotgun right there.
The rail, I called it from the beginning, it's really been Rapha's prized weapon. Hasn't been the one that he's done the most damage with, that's the lightning gun, but still, he always lands the shot when he needs to, putting his opponent at a low stack before he finishes it off with something else. Oof. Lots of tribal to the face as well. Maxter has to run for his life. Will Rapha find him? Knows exactly where he is.
Perfect play. Using the jump pad and then immediately landing right back down there, knowing that Maxter might have used that opportunity to try and take the Mega. And the aggressive Ghost Walk, Maxter. Oh, he does manage to get it, and there's the ring out. Self-ring out. Rapha.
Oh, Maxter, literally 1 point of health after that engagement. I mean, your opponent's suicide might as well be a frag for you, right? So Maxter's gonna be very happy about that. Does he even have timing right now? Heavy, still 10 seconds from spawning. I think he has got a decent idea of when it's up, but he's got to be careful.
That's the
He
Mega
only has
goes
100 points of health.
Mega
good
goes to
rockets.
Rapha. That's a really good defensive shot to undo the work, because Rapha, he was on the warpath and he was hungry. Now he has a rail.
Oh!
But not without taking some free damage. Good catch there by Maxter.
That was a sneaky rocket in between the boards of the stairs right there for a 95 damage. Really good shot. Misses the kill rail though. Now it's tricky. Does get out alive.
But not without mistiming that orb, I think. It really seems like Maxter was trying to do that classic Ranger play. It's now 2 times today we've actually seen that not go right for players. The orb into teleport, into weapon, or item pickup, I guess is more accurate. And here comes Maxter getting shredded by LG, but with no armor. That's a bad string of damage to take as Rapha hungry again. Looking out for this damage. A little bit of damage is better than nothing when it's unreturned, as Rapha just listens out for the rocket jump. And that rocket jump means I can now get some of these other weapons that I'm looking for. Play the later game. Here we go again. One rail is going to put Maxter in a terrible position. Good rocket jump there, thanks to the Ranger passive. Less damage on a rocket jump means that's definitely the lesser of 2 evils. And he takes an armor, but will it cost him his life? It's a... Oh, he gets the rocket! And that's the death scream that Rapha absolutely heard.
I just absolutely love the rapha aggression in that situation, Ketchup. Both of the major items, Mega and Heavy, were up. Rapha knew this perfectly well, but instead of securing one of them, maybe even both, he just applied pressure until the end, securing that middle area of the map and just constantly damaging maxter, knowing that he wanted at least another frag out of this and would then likely be able to secure both of the items if he did it in the right fashion.
Aggressive Ghost Walk is going to kind of get matched with the Dire Orb, so it's going to be ability for ability. In Rapha's case, I think benefit for him because he's laying on the push with significantly more stack. The point-blank rockets just to make things harder. The last-ditch effort of a rail, although it hits his mark. Rapha, too healthy. It really was as good as we're going to get for maxter. The rocket, I mean, he does what he can, but Rapha just soaks up yet another one. And there is a delay between these two items, enough for Rapha to continue his circuit of the map. The classic rapha style. So hard to crack into it once he's got it locked in. And it looks like he will continue, Flea, as the Heavy gets picked up for another time. What does Maxter do to bring himself back into this? That missed rail is going to be free damage that he can't challenge. Maxter, fresh off the spawn, Rapha is laying on pressure. So Maxter kind of has to make best of what he's got, which is not much.
Excellent use of the wall jump there as well. Rapha knows that staying low to the ground is going to open him up to a lot of rocket damage, with Maxter can of course dish out without fear, because he's got that passive with less self-damage, so instead he uses the wall jump to get that extra height over the rockets and do so much damage to his opponents. Really well done from Rapha, as he is 7 points in the lead still. Is there anything at all that Maxter can still do? Rapha, again, just sitting around that center area of the map, knows exactly where his opponent is, and wants to pressure, wants to punish. There we go, one rail. One more should do it. Even gonna deny the small armor there.
The use of the Nyx on this map has been just shy of flawless, honestly. And this is what you expect from Rapha. There's the rail, the Ghost Walk. Now protect him from rails on the way to Heavy. Make sure that he can get a frag and keep a big enough lead that now he can pressure, fresh off spawn. Which it looks like Rapha might be eyeing up as 10 seconds away. The Mega will spawn. He knows the Heavy is a fair way away and the pressure applies. Orb is ready. But will it mean much? Rapha, the Mega will belong to him. Heavy still up for 5 seconds, and Rapha knows he can get both of them. Oh, a missed
not like
jump,
that.
Though.
Yes, to surrender it seems. Maxter. Oh no, Maxter actually. Wow. I don't know what that was. I didn't see it from Maxter's point of view, but it looked like he was gonna rocket jump up and kind of messed up. Didn't secure the Heavy in the end, so that leaves it up for his opponent, the American Liquid player, running away with it. And now again, the reads. Perfect. Rapha knows exactly where Maxter is, but his opponent does slip away. And again, back to that base area. Rapha has done such a good job at keeping control of the middle part of the map, because that's just his base of operations. He can easily get to every point on the map and punish every mistake that Maxter makes.
And there's just been, the usage of the orb has kind of just been a bit scrambly for Maxter, I think. Rapha's use of the Ghost Walk has been this absolute next layer to what he's been applying on Maxter here, and Maxter's orbs, they've kind of been used to maybe try and keep him alive during the Ghost Walk, or maybe he's using it to try and escape, and he rarely actually teleports to where the orb appears. He was almost trying to fake out Rapha to no success. And I kind of just feel like Maxter hasn't really been able to get into that Rapha rhythm. You know, Rapha has gone into this with a solid game plan, and Maxter has really struggled to kind of just get any kind of bearing on it, it looks like.
Still at 52% railgun, Rapha is. Make that 53 after that one. With a minute left to go, there's simply no way for Maxter to make a comeback happen. He's already going to start thinking about the final map of this series. Still has a shot. He still has the opportunity to become the first player to take away a map from Rapha in this season. But will he manage, Ketchup?
With how things are currently going, it's hard to say that I have faith that he can do it. It's not a knock at Maxter. It's definitely more with just how excellent Rapha continues to play. And now Maxter pushes in the best he can, does get a frag, but, you know, 20 seconds left to go. That is going to be all she wrote, absolutely. And Rapha, the use of the Nyx, thoroughly impressive. the deep embrace, the wall jump, the ghost walk. The fact that it was clearly making maxter so uncomfortable that maxter was just throwing his orbs here, there, and everywhere the second the ghost walk was even used. I think there was a lot of discomfort from maxter on that map, and it's what rapha kind of does when new maps hit the fray, though. I recall seeing very similar stuff like this when he started playing a lot of Veil of Nath when no one else was picking it. Very similar.
I mean, I mentioned it before the map started, right? You know how good Rapha is at predicting and reading where people are going to go. And so when he uses that ghost walk, you know that something bad is coming. There is just this terrible shadow looming over you no matter where you are on the map. And I think that did get to maxter a bit, throwing out these orbs a little bit too carelessly sometimes, but of course, it's not that spelled disaster in this situation. It is just Rapha being insurmountably strong once again, landing so many of the shots, 55% railgun there towards the end, perfect control of the items, and of course making extremely clever use of that center area of the map where he just manifested himself, used it as a base of operations, and just continued applying pressure no matter where maxter was. There really wasn't much of an opportunity anywhere where it felt like maxter established anything resembling control.
And the more we start to see deep embrace, I think the more prominent it becomes the importance of that middle area of the map. The fact that you have so much, because it's a small map, right? You have so much information from the center point, control over everything that someone would want to take. I mean, just look at the crucial weapons and the items. It's all within kind of the middle ground area. You can hear someone near it, you can see it. If you have all of the items yourself, it's kind of easy to catch someone off spawn and lay that pressure on instantly, which was kind of what rapha was doing. The Nyx and the Ghost Walk kind of just made that even trickier to deal with. But a dominant showing from rapha on the deep embrace, as we can grow to expect when he plays on new maps. It is his style to be quite innovative with certain picks. Now, we're going to go from new and we're going to go the complete opposite way, because now it's Blood Covenant. So we go a lot more old school here. Maxter locking in that visor, and it will be rapha picking the Strog. So mobility versus vision really is the matchup that we're going to be seeing here. But a map that rapha, I mean, he's good on every map, but when you see rapha on Blood Covenant, he's got a crouch slider. Always makes you nervous to be on the receiving end of, I would assume.
Absolutely. Now, maxter did get to ban away Slash, who is even faster than Strog, so he doesn't have to deal with the absolute worst that rapha can bring in terms of crouch sliding action, but nevertheless, Strog is a force to be reckoned with. Also a very useful champion, the Peeker, if you can get up close and maybe drop down and then send it flying right back up, because generally, Strog isn't picked all that often on this map because it's so wide open, very rail-heavy map, so Peeker is likely going to be shut down before it gets anywhere near your opponent. But it is rapha we're talking about. The man always seems to find a way to innovate, as you mentioned yourself. So this could be quite an interesting matchup once again.
It's always hard to try really hard not to sneeze when you're on camera, and then you just reach the point of no return. All you can do is mute your microphone and hope for the best. Anyway, I think a lot of us have been predicting a rapha 3-0 here in this series, and maxter, he's just really struggled to get around the method of rapha. And this is kind of what rapha can do to you, though. Like maxter, he has impressed throughout the course of stage 1 here in season 2. But what rapha does better than anyone, with the exception of, maybe Razy, is he can make it look easy. He can make it look easy no matter who he's against. And that is an absolute phenomenal strength to have as a player. That rapha can win this one-sided versus anyone, regardless of how successful they are. It is quite the strength. And it looks like as we start things off, the Rockets are fantastic from maxter. An early lead. The question is, what does he get from this?
Good opener indeed. It's going to help the player from Argentina tremendously. Love the patient play right there, but he doesn't have a railgun yet, and that will be the next course of action. He's seen how good rapha can use that weapon. Decent, rather perfect defensive rocket there. 100 damage to the face. Good use of that ability there as well, just standing behind the pillar. But maxter, out of rockets, doesn't have a railgun, isn't even going to be able to secure himself that weapon either, and that makes him non-viable at longer distance. Is he going to go for the rocket jump? Probably indeed the best decision. Now he has the Unholy Trinity to work with, and maybe hang on to this lead of his.
Having that rail so important versus rapha on a map like this, especially seeing as he is playing a crouch slider, so it's going to be significantly easier for him to take a rail. Just a crouch slide jump, and that's pretty much it. In and out, without having to worry too much, whereas Visor has to be a little bit more methodical because those rocket jumps give your position away. You take that self-damage. The barrage of the Pika is going to allow rapha to stabilize and make things a 1-to-1. And right as the heavy spawns, the health vial just makes things even better thanks to the overstack, and he's healthy. Good to go, and I think he will have that range damage on his mind. Can he get that opening damage on board? Maxter, not going to use the teleporter. He wasn't born yesterday. He's going to go a lot safer. It looked like he had somewhat of an idea of maybe doubling back towards LG, although he didn't fully dedicate to that decision. As we look at the items, which item do you prioritize? You know, Mega's up, Heavy's up. Is Maxter going to go for a straight swap? It looks like maybe he has a frag on his mind. He wants to find out where Rapha's going first, and Rapha's taken a bunch of damage. The Mega is his way back into this match, but I do like Rapha's patience. He's not going to push and take it. Maxter thoroughly expecting Rapha to take that Mega to stop the bleeding. And both items actually still up. Does Maxter finally take one?
No, he's still just chasing around, yeah. He left those items up so long, wanting to apply more pressure to Rapha. And that is commendable indeed. I don't know if it's going to help off in the long run, but one of the things that you very often see when players go up against rapha is he just has that legend factor to him, you know. You know that he's probably the single greatest player in the world. Going up against him, that's an intimidating factor. So players are often a bit too reluctant to pressure him. They give him too much respect sometimes, and it looks like Maxter is just completely the opposite right now, applying a lot of pressure, leaving up the items, looking for more damage. And that is exactly the kind of unorthodox play that just might help him win against the powerhouse that is rapha.
It is a player trait that only the 0.1% seem to possess. You know, whether it's, no matter what game it is. It's similar to the Wong factor in fighting games, Justin Wong. Very similar, where there are players that fight you and you are such a legendary player that even the best, they play different against you. You know, that they doubt themselves more. They don't have the same level of confidence or resolve, whatever you want to call it. rapha is absolutely a player that shares that trait, and for good reason. But what doesn't change is how they play against you, Flea. That's what makes it even scarier. Because some players may doubt their decisions fighting rapha, but rapha believes in every single one of his, no matter what. The strength of rapha is that even when he fights someone that doesn't fear him, Flea, he still plays just as good. You know, it's not like he relies on that. It's just that his legacy alone. But with 4 minutes on the clock, he's looking pretty solid here.
Maxter has been doing a good job though. Still keeping this to a 1-frag game against rapha on Blood Covenant when he's playing a crouch slider. That is an accomplishment on its own. He just needs to keep it close and find that one opportunity to throw a spanner in the works and then secure one of the items. That's a good rocket. That's a good rocket. This might give him an opportunity to make a move for Mega if he wants to. Looks like he isn't ready to commit to that just yet. He's gonna leave that item to rapha once again. Not comfortable making a stand at this time. First we'll secure the railgun. I think he didn't have that weapon. Did he actually make it? Yeah, he just dropped down afterwards. Looked like he messed up the rocket jump for a moment there, but just got himself the weapon. Rockets are not working out in rapha's favor, and that's a trade. Maxter is going to be benefiting from that one, especially since he's getting the better spawn near the heavy.
Now rapha, at the very least, won't have to push so hard to get a rocket. But the rocket is as good as it's going to get for now. I think the at least objective number one will be that machine gun. Needs something to contest with range against a visor, especially when he can see where you are. And that piercing sight's been used up. Maxter taking all kinds of tri-bolt damage, but rapha without armor. This is that red alert. There's a light nearby. That's going to be real good, and now maybe even safer, able to approach. Take away the 2 lights and then take heavy. This does mean that if he comes off better in the next exchange, Maxter is not going to have a lot of resources to retreat to.
Yeah, out comes the peeker. A little bit of damage done. Good rail, though. Yet another. Can he find the final shot? Rapha dropping down.
No! Narrowly misses!
Surprised to see that rapha went for that. Did he think Mega was going to spawn? Because it doesn't seem like much of a reason for him to go up the bounce pad knowing that Maxter was up there when he hadn't really done much opening or entry damage at all. So Maxter doing a good job, as you said, or as you lamented rather, missing the final shot that would have tied the game up for him, but maxter is playing this very nicely.
And it looks like rapha continuing to stay patient. maxter, he is doing a really good job of keeping rapha kind of unable to make these big pushes. There are some crucial rails, although he didn't land the kill shot. He is at the very least slowing down the pace and letting himself think, right, what is my plan of attack going to be? In this case, taking the heavy and getting in and out. Piercing sight is ready to go, and that's going to give him the all-important information, probably timing on the Mega as well, as he has just moved towards Mega to pick it up. So maxter full timing on both items. What can he do from this situation? Only 3 rails, Flea. He doesn't have a lot of range shots left to go. One of them will land, and rapha, no armor, deleted his stack. The light been taken. No doubt maxter will be aware of that. And look at how quickly rapha was able to restack.
Of course, that's that movement speed, right? The crouch sliding helps so much getting around the map, securing those little items. Good push from maxter, sending himself flying across the map, boosting with a rocket on the bounce pad. rapha knows that the piercing side has been used, that's why he's not pushing out. Realizes that it's very likely he's going to take too much damage if he does, and that is not the kind of terms that he wants to take the engagement on. So rapha, slowing it down a little bit. That rocket, that might have been crucial. I feel like if rapha would have stayed on top of the bridge, he probably would have been able to secure the frag right there.
But the lack of armor is going to be very scary for maxter, holding his own and then some with some impressive damage. In that piercing sight, a bit more defensive, I think. rapha looking to push forward. Max has to show it so much respect. He's lost vision now, and rapha could be anywhere at this point. I think sometimes it's best to not know, isn't it? Where could he be? Well, with 2 minutes on the clock, Max has been able to, I think, stay nice and protected, but the danger is that we are now in a position where, I mean, he does need to get a frag at the end of the day, Flea.
Yep. Oh no, that might just spell disaster. Indeed it did. And maxter had such a nice opportunity too. rapha, that momentum when he used the peeker carried him so far out into plain view, and maxter actually had the opportunity to land a few nice rockets on his opponent, but he couldn't quite get the angle, and then panicked, switched back to the peeker. rapha just destroyed it, and then trying to push through the teleporter put him in a really bad position, allowing rapha to get that leg up.
I think
1 minute
just
left, catch up.
Just a moment of bad judgment, and that can be all it takes for disaster to strike against the world's best. maxter, maybe a bit too eager to try and tie things up, playing right into rapha's hands. I think there's a reason that rapha just stayed in that position.
Yep.
When maxter was deciding whether or not he wanted to go in through the teleporter, rapha was standing there the whole time ready for it. And this is it. He'll absolutely sense your fear and capitalize now. There's still an opportunity for maxter to take this.
There absolutely is. He's got the stack advantage, but he needs more than just that, and he is the slower of these champions. Piercing side won't be up for another half a minute. He can't count on that anymore. Is he going to push up? No. Wise decision. rapha just waiting at the top. He needs to land some rails here, and instead he takes one. That might be the deciding factor, the nail in the coffin. Yep. Very solid effort from maxter though. I don't think he should be disappointed about that, especially the last map. Ketchup, he kept it so close and so competitive. Almost managed to tie it up. Like, there were just some rails that he absolutely could have landed. He landed more difficult shots than the one he needed. And that would have probably allowed him to tie it up. And then a few mistakes, a bit overzealous towards the end in an attempt to tie it up when he still had plenty of time to work with. But still, admirable effort from maxter, really showing what he's worth.
Without question, rapha 3-0s everyone. That's just the way things are at the moment, you know, until proven otherwise. We might see if that changes up in the stage 1 final. There's always an opportunity for someone to step up to the plate, but as of right now, rapha does continue to be that undisputed best. And maxter, a lot of those maps, there were definite moments of greatness for him, things he can take away. We were going into this series, you know, I think everyone really kind of expecting rapha to have that upper hand and He did. There's really no getting around it, but that's the expected result when you have the newcomer to Pro League versus the current champion. I think this was a great opportunity to just get as much information as possible. Maxter having an opportunity to weigh himself up and realize kind of how he fares here, what those strengths and weaknesses might be. The things I did well versus rapha, what were they? The things that rapha really punished me for, what were they? There's a lot of food for thought going into future weeks and the ever-looming Stage 1 finals. So this was still, I think, a important week for Maxter, even though it was a 3-0 that he had to take.
I mean, it's like they say, right? You win or you learn. And this time, Maxter, he didn't win, but I think that there is a lot for him to learn from here. If he compares the way he played that final map to the first two, I think there's going to be a marked difference in him realizing how he can move ahead in the future. And also just some of these plays towards the end, like that push through the teleporter that really just ended any chances he had at making a comeback. Yep, too hasty indeed. So I think that this is going to be a good learning opportunity for Maxter, but he absolutely shouldn't be disappointed with his results because he played well against the absolute top player in his region.
So we are now about to enter our first featured matchup of the day, which, if you've watched these shows by now, we're going to be joined by DJ Wheat. We're going to have a chat. We're going to call the featured matchups of the day, and our first one's going to be Avek versus Sparty. So the Avek fans out there, strap yourselves in. In a few minutes' time, we'll be starting our next matchup. Thanks for joining us here for Quake Pro League, and in a few minutes, we'll be right back.